or the recording. So, good morning, everybody. I hope I raised enough interest that we're going to get a few more people in here this morning. The big deal that's going on circles around a number of our discussions that we had this week in the Facebook page. Also, Chris, just to let you know, we have an individual named Umar who is also from Dr. Perry's class, Nerman. Umar has joined the email list, but he doesn't appear to have a Facebook account. So as we're dropping stuff into Facebook, we might consider, making sure that we do that secondary over to the email list. Umar's over there, but he's not on Facebook. Okay. So just so you know, I am encouraging, obviously, that anybody who participates in this program be here on Saturday mornings, because a mentorship isn't a mentorship if you're just listening. That's called teaching, or, I guess I'm better than watching Sunday morning cartoons or something. But the mentorship part of this is where we communicate with each other. The individuals, the mentees come in and they ask the questions and they say, yeah, but what about? And they say, what should I? Those sorts of things. Everything shy of that is not really a mentorship. You have not engaged as a mentee if you're not asking questions. Like Douglas and Nerman, you guys are both very active, and you're like, well, okay, but how about this? Or this affects me, or I got these over here, and, these sorts of things. You are actually learning to communicate and speak in the terms that are going to be necessary to get to your job. So that makes the difference. Everybody else just sits and listens. And I could be, side by side with laughing cats for all it matters. So I find the real value in interaction. I'm not a mentor if there aren't mentees asking me questions. So anybody want to give me an update or your understanding of this Android thing? And I'm giving it very, very vaguely. We'll get into it directly, but tell me your understanding.
Yeah, I really don't know. Actually, I didn't have time to check this, and
okay.
Yeah, and I don't use Android at all. So I used to use Android software before, but not now. So I really don't know. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's good. Remember also that when we say Android, we may be referring to things like watches. So we're not necessarily talking, do you have an Android phone? It's now, do you have an Android device? And,
I understand that. Yeah, I mean, that's why I said, like, I'm thinking, like, I don't have any device that it's using, like, Android software. So,
okay.
I mean, I can imagine it's a security patch, so, but
okay.
I don't know, like, details.
Okay. Good. Cool. Let me dig a little deeper here. Does anyone know what Android OS is based on? Did they write it out the door, or did they start with something?
I think, Scotty, this is Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was based on a Java. I don't know much about Android programming, but my understanding is that knowing Java will typically helps you to
Okay.
programming Android, because it looks like it's either connected to it or somehow based on the language.
Okay. Good shot. Good attempt. Nerman, what do you think? Do you know what?
I'm not sure, but I'm trying to remember. I know that I read somewhere because I remember from some of my classes I have to learn a little bit about almost every software, operating system. But I just trying to remember, and I can't. Like, so I'm kind of
Okay.
like close, but I can't.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Your Android OS was originally designed a number of years ago to break the Apple OS and other wearable OS monopoly, and it is based on a Linux kernel. So the question now is, do you have anything that runs Linux? Well, pretty much everything. I'm gonna show my age here, but I have hearing aids, and guess what they're based on? Linux. So, why is Linux such a big deal? Because it was free, and so everybody uses it. Yeah, Nerman.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I have a question. Yes, since you said like that device is based on Linux OS, is Linux also used for cars? Like, if I'm not wrong, like I guess Linux is actually the most used operating system, like for many devices, like especially cars, right?
Yeah, and in addition, it is baked into chips. So the entire operating system can be on a chip, like you were saying, in a car. So yeah, Linux is extremely widespread. So when you see these sorts of things, be careful not to say, "Oh, I don't have an Apple Watch. I'm cool." Well, think a little deeper and say, "Okay, they haven't announced it yet, but guess what? I'm expecting an update for my security cameras or my LG internet connected refrigerator freezer that looks inside and takes a snapshot and goes out shopping for me." I'm expecting an update. Why? Because that guy's based on Linux. Just be aware of the Linux reach and how broadly it can affect you. Okay, so let's get into this Android OS security patch. You guys saw the thing that I placed on Facebook with that. I took a screenshot and said, "Hey, this is kind of interesting." And I'll try and pull it up here. And it says something down here at the bottom, and it just popped up on my screen with all the notifications, like, "Oh, look, you have a new YouTube video about," what is that, ramen noodles. So be careful, it's mixed in with everything else. But it said, Android System 5522, emergency location accessed. Your device manufacturer accessed your location during a recent emergency session. Now, this is that was my device manufacturer. So it said, your device manufacturer accessed your device location. First of all, that tells me it's a big deal. When Samsung goes in and breaks, how do I say this? They shake the confidence of their customers by saying things like, "We had to access your location." That's a big deal. Something's going on. And the fact that they didn't tell me about it, except this little notification, hi, we're in your phone. Have a nice day. And then they, they're gone again. So let's talk about this. Is why they did what they did. It's called CVA 2022-0847, and it's the Android A36 security patch, otherwise known as Android May updates. All right, and we'll just go from there. Any questions so far? Okay, this was from Forbes.com. The reason I trust Forbes is it is a business-based publication, whatever you want to call it, corporation, and they have in my opinion, the people that have already worked through all the hype and gotten rid of all the technical jargon, and they're now presenting this to things like business CEOs. Okay? The headline read, Urgent Google Android Update AS36 Security Issues Confirmed. 1 already under attack. So that explains why this occurred. Google Android was already under attack. Now here's the problem. It says if you're an Android user, regardless of your hardware vendor of choice, could be Motorola, could be, whatever, just anything running Android, pay particular attention to getting the 36 vulnerability fixing May security update installed as soon as possible. Then they ask, why the concern? A high severity vulnerability that was disclosed in January, February, March, April, May. This vulnerability has been in your Android devices, known, published, and everyone else is aware of it. All the bad guys are aware of it for 4 months. And perhaps unsurprisingly, is being exploited in the wild, is now being fixed. So not only has it been on your phone for months, but they knew that it was on your phone months ago, and they published that it was in Android A12 and above. It's a Linux kernel vulnerability given the name Dirty Pipe by the researcher who uncovered it. CVE 2022-0847 has been confirmed by Google and the U.S. CISA. Okay, CISA is really your friend. Have you guys subscribed to CISA advisories in your email? If not, I really recommend you go in and take a look at them. I'll show you how to do that, but I really recommend you watch that. Yeah, probably 9/10 of it is, blah, blah, blah. They announced new industrial security controls. Google announced security updates. Cisco announced security updates. Microsoft announced security updates. Panasonic announced security, and they just go on and on and on and on and on. But in the midst of it, you can catch things like this. It's been confirmed by Google and CISA and affects Android devices running Android 12 or later. That's why you need to be able to jump into your computer or device or whatever and say, what am I running? Do I know what I'm running? I know what I'm running because I just bought this one, but I had like I was telling Chris and Douglas before, I had a Motorola that was locked at Android 8.0.0, and it would not update. So if they found some vulnerability that was in it from, 10 years ago, tough luck. Anyway, anything running Android A12 or later, regardless of your Android device age, please apply the update as a matter of urgency. Now, I am just so you guys know, it's not a business. I do this for free for everybody in my old folks area here. And I tell them I'll do computer support. I got a call yesterday, or actually earlier this week, from some guy. And he says, yeah, I got this thing going on with my phone. I just bought this phone, and it says it wants to update, but I want to learn about this. So, can you come by and show me? So guess where I'm going immediately after this meeting? I'm walking over to his place and saying, update. This is why you should do it. I'm teaching him so that he becomes part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Okay? If you have not applied the Android update for me on your Android device, go ahead and do so. I'll wait. Douglas, you found that you're at A10, so it doesn't affect you. But I mean, this is the point. Even my wife said, yeah, I got that message too. Did you apply it? No. I didn't have time. Thought it was a bother. So now where am I? Here's the question you have to ask yourself. Should I be part of the solution, or part of the problem, or part of the unsuspecting masses, the person sitting right next to you who doesn't know, who is already vulnerable, has been for months, and Android is just now saying, oops, apply this now? Should you bug your family and friends? My answer is yes.
I'd say yes.
I posted on my Facebook page. Got 1,000 friends or whatever it is. Update today, now.
Hey, Scotty.
Yep.
I have a question regarding. You said that the Android, the May upgrade for Android is somewhere around 12.
For A12 and above.
Okay, but I have a A10.
No. I don't mean the device manufacturer model. I mean the Android version running on your phone. A12 means Android version 12.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Understand.
Okay.
Thanks.
And I'm sorry to say that some people get confused with that as well.
Yeah,
Scotty, I'm running. Oh.
Chris?
Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting, but I'm running version 10. No A in front of it, but it's vendor locked. Locked on Verizon's plan, and Samsung will send the updates. And anytime Samsung says the updates, I just say go ahead and do it. Okay.
That is a great attitude to teach your family. By the way, I have I went out to Walmart and I bought myself a Samsung Galaxy A12. That doesn't say anything about Android. Okay, it's the Galaxy A12 named by Samsung. It just happens to be running Android version 12. So don't get the A12 and the Android 12 confused. A12 is the device model that Samsung owns. Okay, A12 and Android 12 aren't the same.
Totally 100. Totally 100 locked by Verizon.
And they do that because they're responsible for the successful operation of your phone. So, any questions? Any questions? Hopefully, we're doing this in a positive way. We're not hair on fire, knocking on people's doors at 3 a.m. Pat your phone, but get people to be part of the awareness culture, and we'll talk about that at the moment. So security patches. Can anybody tell me what security patches are? Just in general, what is a security patch?
Updates like for your operating system. So it can be like any update regarding like security, like regarding like any part of your operating system. It can be about drivers, like for devices. For example, like it can be patch for drivers that are already installed in Windows 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
But in other words, it's like it's update for your software for
There you go.
operating.
There you go. Yeah.
And it must be done immediately as soon as it's available. And for example, I do on my devices, I check update. Even I set up like automatically. I run every week checking updates for all my devices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if there is something, I always restart my computer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you. I think that's a good way of describing it. It is a software update. It could be operating system or application, because remember, Microsoft Office has updates, has security updates. So it's OS or it's application, and it's after the identification of a vulnerability and hopefully not, but possibly an exploit. Can somebody tell me quickly the difference, as you understand it, between a vulnerability and an exploit? These are the terms that we need to be able to speak on a daily basis.
It sounds to me like vulnerability. It's an area of possible attack,
Mm-hmm.
whereas an exploit is something that has already been taken advantage, or a vulnerability that has been taken advantage becomes an exploit or something like that.
Okay. Let's make sure. You're right, Doug, but let's make sure that when we're talking about these things, we just try and put this into your vocabulary so that the people listening to you will hear it. Remember, we're in information security, but we're supposed to be putting this in a manner that our management understands. And not all of our management are technical. But what does our management understand? It's a 4-letter word that should be popping through your vocabulary. And no, it's not Oreo. Chris?
Scotty, risk.
Risk. Okay. A vulnerability, if you think about it, is something that, if not tended to, increases my risk or my organization's risk. An exploit is a vulnerability that is actively being exploited. Somebody is actually, you say, ooh, that door's unlocked. An exploit is where somebody's turning the doorknob and coming in. Okay? Vulnerabilities, if left unpatched or uncorrected, subject your ecosystem, let's just call it that, your environment, your home, your office, your enterprise, the internet, to risk of exploit. So be thinking of those words, because those form the basis of your vocabulary for cybersecurity. When you are walking into a boss's office, I will tell you, using a word like attack could cause them to either overreact or think you're overreacting. You say, oh, no, we're under attack. This guy could be a Vietnam veteran. So that's where you talk about vulnerability, risk, exploit. Just know those words, practice them when you're speaking, and it will help you in the long run. Okay? So how do security... I'm sorry, go ahead, Doug.
Sorry, yeah, my apologies. I wanted to make clear. You said we need to use and make sure we become accustomed to using the 3 words, right? Vulnerability.
Well, those are 3 of them. I'm just helping you increase your vocabulary by giving you some base words. I'm not saying just use those 3.
No, I understand. But now that we're talking about them, I wanted to make sure. So vulnerability and risk are synonymous, right? And exploit it's when an attack has already taken place.
A vulnerability, if left unaddressed, constitutes an ongoing risk.
Okay.
Okay? So if you walk into a meeting and say there's a vulnerability and we haven't patched it yet, and you walk out of that meeting, that means you have just identified to your CEO that you are at a condition of risk, increased risk. Now, how extensive that risk is, how critical that risk is, obviously it depends on the situation. But it's far better than using terms like attack. Okay?
Okay.
So how do security patches occur? Well, the owner of the code is responsible for the integrity of their code. If you write a little, quick snippet that helps everybody's refrigerator work 12% better, but oh, by the way, it defrosts everything in the freezer because of a vulnerability, the food that's lost in that freezer is your responsibility. So be thinking about it. As a code writer, you bear responsibility if you create that code. Now, if you combine it from other snippets of code, remember log4j, if you combine everything else together, all you're doing is assembling someone else's code. You haven't written that code. There is no claim of ownership for that code. Okay? So the code owner, in this case Google, who wrote Android operating system, Google is responsible for my Samsung phone and whether it's going to work right today. That is an implied what's it called? Fit for use, I think is what it's called, fit for use, where somebody will say, well, I will give you an example. Last night I was at church and the guy was talking about his wood chipper, and he got this magic Predator wood chipper, and I think it came from Harbor Freight, and it was supposedly all sorts of capable. And he got it out there, and he said he couldn't keep it running for more than 5 minutes because every time he got it running, it would overheat, start smoking, and shut itself down. And he said, well, I'm not satisfied with it. And he's going to take it back. So whoever designed that wood chipper didn't design it to do what this person was trying to make it do. It's called fit for use. Anyway, so security patches, are they annoying? Yeah, sometimes. But then you have to ask yourself and your CEO, can we afford not to apply this? You always should ask that in your own mind. The moment I started watching what was going on with my Android update, I'm like, I don't care where I'm at, update, I'll watch. And it did its thing, took less than 5 minutes. It was like an Apple update. If you've ever watched your iPhone updates, It's very much like that. But it's the first time I'd watched a live Android update. Because my other phones, like you, Chris, and you, Doug, my other phones have been locked. But this one is not locked. So, anybody you know of have a nice shiny new Android A10, A12, A32, A36 phone? This year's models? You might do them a favor and call them up and say, you know that little buggy thing that came up on your screen? And you can say it, Forbes.com is asking everybody to apply it. Okay, go get it. I'll wait. If you have any problems, let me know. But it was a real clean update. So what should I do personally? Be aware. Be part of the people who know rather than part of the people who don't know. Be watchful. In other words, attach yourself to those CISA advisories, they're called, or watch Forbes.com when you do something as simple as Google News. If any of you look at Google News, set your Google News and start searching for cybersecurity terms, and then you will see more and more and more cybersecurity news pop up on your Google News every time you bring it up, because Google is listening to you. That's their intelligence, and they will start focusing cybersecurity articles toward you. You go in news.google.com. I don't care about sports, but I do care about cybersecurity. So guess what? I get more stuff that has to do with cybersecurity and less about the Cleveland Browns. And down at the bottom, ensure you and your family aren't at risk. Be the good shepherd. Remember, you guys probably remember, it's up on YouTube now. It's called That Annoying Voice, where I identified this months ago to you guys and said, you're going to reach a point where you become that annoying voice at family gatherings or, whatever, where you're going to say, did you guys do this? Watch out about this. Be careful about this. And then what's going to happen even after that, people are going to come up to you and say, am I okay? They're going to start relying on you. Well, that's the same thing as if this was your business. So treat it as if you are a security professional. You know, they don't. Why would you not tell them? I remember back long time ago, and I'm just joking about this, but it's like, I got mine fixed. Sucks to be you. No. That doesn't mean you're part of the problem. That just means you're selfish. Be aware that if you know something and you don't tell other people, you're part of the problem. Now, here's a and I'll just say it's kind of sensitive, so be careful with this one. But when the new Android fix came up and stuff, and I applied it and everything, that's probably the time to sit in a meeting before the meeting or whatever, classroom, Norman, when you get into the class and say, has everybody applied your Android A36 patch for May? It's a big deal. People may not know. People in your sociology class certainly may not know. So you become the source of making things better for them simply because they listen to you. They hear you and they listen to you. Okay? Pitch in at work if asked. What I mean by that is, don't run around. Well, I'll give I forgot his name already. One of our guys, he's normally on here, Harminder. He just got a new job at his help desk as a help desk operator. It's not the time to run around to everybody's phone and say, here, can I borrow your phone? Okay, here. You know, what'd you just do? Don't do that. You are not that much of a professional. You are not at the point of being a practitioner, but you know more. Okay, so pitch in at work if asked. I need a bunch of people to run around and, you know, go into our VIP suite and tell our, you know, patch everybody's phones. I can do that. How do they know that? Because you told them that you did it with your phone. See what I'm saying? Help them to recognize that you're an asset when it comes to business risk. That in itself could get you your job. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? Any discussion? Well, that's all I had for this morning, guys.
Hey,
Chris,
Scotty,
yeah.
can we clarify? I think you said a term called vendor lock.
Mm-hmm.
Can I clarify what vendor lock means, or is
Sure.
the audience understanding what vendor lock is?
Or your understanding, yeah. Because
Yep.
I haven't researched it. All I know is that it's like, you know, they're saying we're out here. We're in Android version 12, and I'm looking at my phone and it says Android 8. Well, there must be some way to get to 12.
Correct.
So, go ahead, Chris.
My phone, I bought it. I won't say bought it from Verizon. I'm currently renting from Verizon. You got to read your contracts and all that. And when I looked up my Verizon version, I'm on version 10.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at my wife's phone a few minutes ago. It's version 8. But I read further down the line, and I see a bunch of Verizon. It'll say VZW. And that's how I knew Verizon has it locked down.
Mm-hmm.
If your phone is locked down by your cell phone company, they're in charge of that version, but they have other things in place. But that's what version lock is. Your cell phone company, if you rent from your cell phone company, they have control of what's being updated and what's not being updated. And it's why I adopted the attitude, anytime they ask for an update, just do it. Just press the button.
Right. Very, very good idea. And I'm going to talk briefly about what are called rootkits or side loading. Any of you guys heard of those? If you've done any playing around with devices, Apple, remember what Apple used to call it?
Jailbreak, Scotty?
Jailbreak. Yep. And that's where you actually go into the proprietary Apple operating system and unlock it so you can make unapproved changes. The moment you jailbreak or rootkit or whatever you want to call it, a device, you have now voided the warranty and have absolved the company of any responsibility having to do with the performance of your phone. For example, if I were to walk in, you know, let's say my Apple phone, oh wait, the screen won't turn when I turn my phone and I can't get it to turn. Take it into the Apple store. The Apple, what are they called, Genius? The Apple Genius that takes a look at it's going to go, can't touch it, it's jailbroken. They're done. You went in and modified something that Apple said don't modify. It's your brick now. It's, you know, there are lots of folks that play around with rootkits and side loading and what we know of as jailbreaking. And they do it because they can. But in the end, it only benefits them. there's a whole culture out there about nobody can tell me what I can or can't do with my own phone. That's true. You know, if you want it to work right, do you trust you or do you trust the manufacturer? If you want to load this really special stuff and make it do certain things that Apple says you shouldn't, have at it. And if it doesn't work, you may have to buy yourself a new one. You know? So I don't play around with those things. There used to be an old word called tinkering. When you're, go in and you're like, what happens if I twist this? I'm not going to do that. I want things to run, and I want things to run well. I want them to be secure, and I want them to run well tomorrow. I played around with jailbreaking for a number of years, so I know what it does, and I know the danger of doing it, and what's going on now with the manufacturers like Android and Apple and Microsoft. I mean, people are obviously out there trying to bust the Microsoft registration keys, obviously. Hey, Windows 11 for free. How'd you do that? I won't tell, So just be aware that people are out there doing that. Yes, it may do things. It may change capabilities. It may allow it to do things that it couldn't do before. But in the long run, what it may also do is remove capabilities or stop the OS altogether. Do you want to do that? And the people who are playing around with rootkitting and sideloading, they don't even know if they've introduced new vulnerabilities. Remember, every new change has to be evaluated. We call it scanning, security scanning, and they know what a compromised system looks like. So don't play that game. Anybody else?
Now, can you repeat again how? Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I just want to ask, can you show us how to sign up for CISA notification?
Yeah, let me go out there and find that.
And while you're at that, can you repeat just the word that they use for rootkit in Apple?
Jailbreak.
Oh, jailbreak. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So, if
breaking
you're
out of the jail of Apple.
Yeah.
The way I remember it.
Yeah. If you're on CISA.gov, over here it says subscribe to alerts. And you can click on it and say, here's my email address. You notice mine there. And it says, I want email updates. All right. So I click on it. And it says, you're already subscribed. So that's how you do it. And then what you'll get, admittedly, a lot of them are going to be stuff you don't need to know. Maybe helpful to know, but most of the time you don't need to know. But some of them are going to be really hot. Because what occurred with this one was it was Google and CISA that came up with the fix, the patch update. And then Google was responsible to deploy that patch update. So we saw it over under CISA.gov early. Okay? Just simple things like that. They will shovel these advisories to you as they occur. Why not receive them? Every once in a while, I would say 1 out of every 8 or 10 I will sit and say, that sounds interesting, and I'll open it up and read it. But most of them, it's like, I don't care about, F5. I don't care about Solaris. I don't care about Siemens, the industrial control type software that's running the assembling machines in your nearby auto manufacturing plant or whatever, or running the satellites that are up in your communication system or whatever. Yeah, okay. Maybe later I'll look at it when I have nothing else to do. But some of them are a lot closer to home, and they get pretty descriptive. Yes, Chris.
All Scotty set aside, and Scotty, no offense, but if I'm a student, you'll get an idea of what's in the industry. You'll also get an idea of, hey, industrial controls. I know a company that's across the street that is dying for people that know how to secure an industrial control system, has cloud skills, has cybersecurity skills. I mean, doesn't hurt you to read about them and at least keep a list of what's out there in the industry.
Mm-hmm. You could literally be
just thinking about that. You just said, Chris, like I was thinking it's good to know, like even like you get those notifications that maybe, you don't really need to pay attention to, like for like Samsung cell phone or like Android software. But yeah, I was exactly the same thing. I was thinking like as a student, it's good to know like those things, like so that they exist and what can happen, like whatever is the subject, the
right
issue.
And you'll notice that they tend to come kind of in swarms. You'll see Microsoft announces, Cisco announces, IBM announces, Java, Google, and then you'll also notice another one, Microsoft Edge and Google both get patched with the same vulnerabilities. Why? Because even Microsoft Edge, it's now over with Microsoft, but Microsoft Edge is based on the Google search engine. So when you see something for Google, you'll see it very soon for Microsoft Edge. It helps you understand the security and how things operate. Yeah, good idea, Chris. Just don't get overloaded with it.
I do understand what you said though, because in your position, you're like, I don't care about industrial controls. Right. I don't care about F5, whatever product they have. All I care about is Microsoft
system or
yeah. I get that.
Okay. You'll watch stuff go by and it's like, yeah, okay. Doesn't really affect me. Doesn't affect anything I know. And I'm pretty sure the people that are responsible for this are already working it. So, yeah, good idea. Anybody else? Okay, well, we're a couple minutes early, which is totally fine with me. I think you guys have been wonderful today. Thank you. I appreciate your participation. You make it fun. You make it enjoyable. And hopefully I do the same for you guys. In the long run, again, it may sound like, let's finish this up with a team cheer or whatever, but our goal, the thing we should keep in mind is not, I want to do techie stuff, and this is a techie thing that's going to get me a techie job so I can get a techie paycheck. I don't care about that. This is a tool that allows me to help make the world a better place. That's what drives me. And so you guys help with that by saying, that makes sense. Let's go do that. And that is the quality, one of those unwritten qualities unspoken qualities and very hard to measure soft skills that's going to come out when you're in your interview. Because remember, we talked about that printer. What did the customer need? The customer did not need the printer fixed. The customer needed the slide presentation printed out. But if all you do is zero down on the tool, you're missing the need. So remember to stay high up on a lot of these things. Okay, guys. I've had enough fun today. If you guys have any other questions or anything, please consider putting them on Facebook, new articles you find or whatever. And if you do, put them on our groups.io email as well. If you aren't a member, I'll send out the subscribe link on our Facebook page so that we can make sure that we're on both. We preserve a presence on both. It may be duplicate for some, but for others, like Umar, it's not. All right? Appreciate it very much, guys. Everybody have a good Saturday. Okay?
Thanks.